In this video, we are going to take Logan's Junkyard Mutt and we are going to put on some brand new tires and wheels. Alright, so what happened here is we did the thing that you're never supposed to do, which is we let somebody else drive them. And what ended up happening is super heavy throttle, wop, 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 and these plastic beadlocks that we have had gave up the ghost, ended up stripping out on I think at least 2 if not 3 of the hexes around all of the wheels, which is really a bummer. We've liked these, like the tires. We thought about upgrading tires anyway, but we've been happy with what we had. I love this design. I think the black on red is cool. So after that, Logan and I spent a significant amount of time online researching and looking and figuring out what he wanted and decided to go with this pattern. So not assembled yet, just kind of roughly laid together to see what it looks like. These are actually some Injora wheels, all right, which tend to get a whole bunch of hate, right? People don't tend to like these a lot because a lot of times they're copying other brands or something like that. I don't know. We're just going to give them a shot. They were pretty cheap. I'll put a link down in the description to where we bought them so you can see exactly how much they are, see if you want some yourselves. But it comes with these tires. They feel pretty decent. They're not super sticky, but they feel good. They're a nice size. They're a little bit taller, a little bit wider than what we had before, which is good. Might end up with a problem with steering radius, but otherwise I think this is going to look really good on this truck. Love the design. We actually, this is a public service announcement about how you need to be careful about what you buy. I also went online, found some used. Hey, these are those Proline TSL Super Swampers. Those things are supposed to be really good, and I bought them. They were used, though they were cheap, which is fine. But they came in. Look how small they are. Man, they're pretty narrow. They're pretty short. I mean, especially compared to this tire. They're still 1.9s, and so they would mount up. Maybe it's still a good choice for us. Maybe the size of the tire would be appropriate. But then the other one was this one. Loved this pattern. It looked really cool. I asked the seller, hey, is it still the same size? Yes, it's still a 1.9. But look how short it is. I don't know what vehicle this is. If anybody out there knows what this little thing would fit, it is only, let's measure it real quick. It is less than 4 inches tall. It is like 3 3¾ inches tall, unmounted. 1.9. If you have any idea what this will fit, or if you have a vehicle that this will fit, let me know, because I can't imagine at all that I will ever use these little bitty short tires. But if you have something that'll work on, let me know. Maybe I'll just send them to you. All right, we need to get to assembling these Injora wheels. Alright, a couple things to note here that's interesting. So this is a trick that we have learned, is we found a couple other screws that are super long, and then that way we can get these started. Even you're not gonna, it's really hard to get the beadlock to seat with the super small screws that come with the kit. So you get some ridiculously long ones, and then that way you can get it started from a mile away, pull it down, make sure everything's looking good, all out here in free space. One thing to note with these Injora wheels, these are all 1.5mm screws. When we just recently did boom racing setup for my Wraith, they actually were all 2.5mm screws. So you do have to be careful as you tighten these up to not over tighten them, or they could strip. 1.5mm is small. The other thing, just like my boom racing wheels, there was paint or coating, whatever this coating is on the wheels, whether it's paint or whatever it is, there was some of that actually in the threads. So before we ever even got started, we actually ran screws in and out of every single one of these in order to make sure those threads were clear before we got to this step. All right, man, I tell you what, we dang screwed up. So we already assembled 2 of them before we realized that we haven't vented these at all. Now, some people vent, some people don't. We're venters. Use a hole punch. Come in, get right where you want that hole to be, and punch. Turn it a little bit, punch, punch, punch. Try to get that hole all the way cut. It doesn't always want to cut all the way. take a knife and kind of finish out the hole. Which seems kind of silly. Why did I buy a hole punch if it won't actually punch all the way through? But you end up with a clean hole all the way through the tire. We're going to do that at 4 points all the way around, right in the center of the tire. And this is all to manage water. All right, this is all about getting water out of the tire. Okay, so since we already have 2 of these mounted up, Logan and I made the executive decision that we really didn't want to have to take all these back apart in order to vent them. So we didn't realize that we hadn't vented them before we started. So I'm going to use the other method, which is, this is a tube chucked up in the drill, which it of course does not like to stay chucked up in the drill because it's just a tube. It likes to smash. And it's super wobbly. So, brass tube sharpened on the end, and you just simply go into the tire and it'll puncture a hole just like that. It is actually probably 7 times easier than using the other punch, if I'm honest, because that just works like that. Only drawback to doing this with an already mounted tire is that you may hit the foams inside. So if you do it with a tire that's not mounted yet, that would make it a little bit safer for the foam. There we go. Check it out. That looks awesome. Immediately get them dirty. Oh, look at the mud on them. Without a problem.